Tevin is an inspiring student who, as I said earlier, initially struggled in one type of institution, picked himself up, ended up in another kind of institution, thrived, and he'll tell you more, but please welcome Tevin.
Thank you so much. All right, greetings. How's everybody feeling this afternoon? Are we feeling good? All right, I'm gonna start on this side of the room. We're gonna need some energy here. Where's the excitement on this side of the room? We're feeling good? All right. All right, this side of the room. Are you guys gonna let them beat you? Let me hear. All right. The time to get excited is now because we are going on a journey for the next 20 minutes. So buckle up and get ready. Hi everybody, my name is Tevin Ali, and I'm a current graduate student at Johns Hopkins University, majoring in biotechnology enterprise and entrepreneurship. With the theme of this year's Eduventures Summit being remastering, I would briefly like to talk about what does remastering mean? Well, for this point, I'm gonna need some help here because I cannot hope to do this alone. So can I get everybody in the room to do this for me? Now do this. Now say file. Now say save as. You're about to save this file into your brain. So, coined in 1964, remastering means to enhance the quality of the sound or an image, like a recording or a song track, for example. Now, while it's possible to remaster a process or the quality of something, it is also possible to remaster oneself. It was when I remastered myself that I found my mission. In education today, we need to remaster the missions of our students. So they graduate not only with a major, but also with a mission. My ongoing mission is to be an agent of change in science, education, and the lives of others. I firmly believe in the powering potential of science, emotional intelligence, and positive energy to create a world where we are immersed in deep and meaningful relationships. And I wake up every morning with the mission to motivate, inspire, and empower others to become the strongest versions of themselves. Now, how did I get to this point of deep understanding of myself? Well, let me take you back to the beginning of my college journey, to my unique story to graduate school. My story is part of a larger collection of stories. It's a story about people, passion, and perseverance. It's a story about remastering yourself. This is a story about the might of a mission that came to be, that mobilized me to be a voice whom empowers others. I was born in a small island in the Caribbean called Trinidad. My parents, both born and raised in Trinidad, immigrated to this country in pursuit to give me and my brother a better quality of life. They didn't have a college education nor the opportunity to pursue one, but they knew the direction they wanted their kids to have. And like many immigrants, we grew up with humble beginnings. My parents didn't have much, and my family started living in someone's garage for the first few years living in this country. Growing up, we couldn't afford the best of things like books or tutoring in my education. But through the long days, nights, weeks, months, and years, my parents eventually worked their way up and saved what little money that they had to send me to college. And I entered college with such high hopes. I was fortunate to have earned a scholarship to attend New York University. But little did I know at the time that my journey to navigate through college would be a struggle. Being the first in my family to attend college, that was a struggle for me. I wasn't prepared for the college lifestyle. I let the discouraging opinions of others drown out my own voice, and I went through hardships at the time. Being immersed in a new city and being immersed in the new college environment, that didn't fit well with me. I felt lost at sea, not knowing where to go. And my parents didn't know how to advise me as they never went to college. I didn't have confidence at the time, nor was I made aware of how to utilize the resources around me. Every semester, my GPA, my emotional state, and my confidence sank lower and lower, as if I was sinking in a sea of cold water. The final moments for me were during my 5th semester when I was called into the office of my organic chemistry professor. He sat me down and he told me that I was failing his course and had the lowest grade in his class. He then proceeded to raise his tone at me and tell me that I wasn't college material, nor deserving to be part of his class or part of the institution at large, and that I needed to leave his office immediately and withdraw from college. At the time, I believed every negative word he spat in my face and the way he said it. Not even 5 minutes after I left his office, I received an email stating that I had lost my scholarship due to my low GPA. In that moment, I broke in more ways than one. In that moment, I dropped out of college. I returned home feeling defeated. Being an immigrant and the first in my family to go to college, the pressure of defeat swallowed me up. Feelings of worthlessness, guilt, and shame replayed in my head as I replayed my failures over and over and over in my head till I had nothing left inside of me. Getting up without a purpose led me spiraling down the wrong path and into a state of hopelessness. Having a 1.9 GPA at the time, I was also denied admission into my local state university. I was denied financial aid and automatically classified as ineligible for every scholarship and every academic program I tried to re-enroll myself in. Every door possible closed in my face. At the time, I felt nobody believed in me, not even myself, and I hit my lowest point. However, when we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change. A catalyst turning point for me was when I decided to accompany my dad to work one day. My dad works as a property manager for condominiums and also serves as a janitor as part of that position. One day, I saw him picking up trash around the building, so I went over to go help him out. And as I was picking up a piece of trash, he gently grabbed my hand. And then he looked at me with a look of determination and said to me in a woeful way, "I don't want to see you picking up trash in the hot sun like I had to do for the majority of my life. I want to see you working in an office somewhere, making a difference in the lives of others. I want you to decide right now whether you want to work hard for 4 years of your life in college or work hard for 40 years of your life like I had to do in the blazing sun." Have you ever had a moment in your life where time just stopped? Well, that was that moment for me. The warm wind started to blow, and I felt like I was seeing my dad for the first time. And I remember telling myself in that moment, "I'm gonna make this right, Dad." After a year of reflection, I realized that I had to take a step, that I had to move forward. I can choose to keep my room door closed, or I could open it and venture out into the world to make a difference. After re-enrolling at my local community college at Palm Beach State College for an Associate of Science degree, I started a journey of making my comeback stronger than my setbacks. I gave myself a second chance. My previous breakdown led to a series of breakthroughs that started my unique journey to graduate school. I landed an internship that transitioned into a job at the Scripps Research Institute, where I investigated cures to diseases such as cancer and Alzheimer's. Being involved in scientific research instilled the first piece of the puzzle in how education set up success for me, despite my struggles and setbacks. And that piece was project-based learning. Doing scientific research that took more than one semester to complete, that helped me realize my passion towards communication. The second piece of the puzzle for me was experiential learning. My journey then took me to Washington, D.C., where I was accepted into an internship and academic seminar program called the Washington Center. So in this program, cohorts of around 400 students from around the world intern in DC for 32 hours a week. These students also take a weekly, nightly course to supplement that learning and are involved in seminars on Friday, such as company site visits and listening to guest speakers. I was keen on getting experience in business and communication and ultimately interned for a company called STEM Connector, where I worked for the STEM Higher Education Council. While in DC, I also became heavily involved in civic engagement and learned from the many professionals in DC. I was fortunate enough to interact from esteemed individuals such as Dr. Eric Green, the Director of Genomics of the National Institutes of Health, and even Bill Nye the Science Guy himself. Now, I gotta tell you the story of how I met Bill Nye the Science Guy. It was like a scene from a movie, let me tell you. So let me give you a little bit of background here. So even though I'm standing up here right now speaking, I'm actually an introvert. I can be really shy and I like observing people, and it takes loads and loads of energy for me to approach others and talk to them. So I'm at this event and Bill Nye is just a few yards away from me and I'm just staring at him. I felt like I was a total creeper. Oh my goodness. And then this lady, who was a good friend of Bill, just casually comes up next to me, turns to me and says, "You want to go talk to him, right?" I turned to her and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So she grabs my hand and starts pulling me, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, no, wait. She's like, "I'll introduce you," and I'm like shaking like a leaf. So we're just getting closer and closer and closer to Bill Nye, and we get to him, and I'm still shaking, and I go out to go shake my hand, but I'm shaking a lot. And of course, being typical me, I dropped my phone in front of him. In that moment, I felt like I dropped my soul too. So he goes on to tell me, breathe. So I did, and I was like, "Tevin, get a hold of yourself. So I did, and we go on to have a nice conversation about how his science show inspired me to get involved in the sciences and talk about my goals and stuff like that. And I told you I dropped my phone in front of him, right? So he had my phone, so he pulled it out and he took a selfie with the both of us. Best moment ever. Okay, I gotta get back now. I'm getting sidetracked here. Okay, so back to the story. I was part of this academic internship program in DC. Now, even though I met Bill Nye that summer, the most memorable and growing point of that experience was being selected out of the 450 students in my cohort to be the closing commencement speaker for the 2016 commencement address of the Washington Center. This was the first speech I ever gave, and it's a speech that taught me to be vulnerable. I talked about my struggle of journey through an analogy of how a diamond is formed, because the story of a diamond, that's exactly how I see my journey. A diamond, and yes, I did just pull a diamond out of my pocket. Diamonds naturally transform deep within Earth, but only after being exposed to extremely high pressure and extremely high temperature. Similar enough in life, we go through that process of transformation. We go through all sorts of stress, pressure, and experiences that shape us into who we are today. When we go through life and when we go through our education, we are forging our own inner diamond. It was after this speech that I had a student approach me afterwards and tell me I had every intention to drop out of college when I returned home. But after hearing your talk and how you changed your life, that instilled a sense of hope in me that I too can make a difference. At that moment, I went from thinking that my voice didn't matter to my voice had the potential to move a room. It was also in that moment that I realized coming into higher education, it's never about who students are walking in, but who they can be walking out. That's what education always was and always should be, an avenue that gifts the process of transformation. Education is the medium of taking us from who we are to who we can be. Realizing this, I made it my mission to want to unlock the missions of others, or as I like to say it, forge the inner diamonds of others. That experiential learning program was only 12 weeks long, but to this day, it was the most impactful 12 weeks of my life and really showcased to me the meaning of learning in such a short, concentrated period of time. Upon returning to Florida, after my experiential learning experience in DC, I became heavily involved in leadership and in the community. I joined a leadership program at my undergraduate institution, Florida Atlantic University, called the Elite Owl Red Jacket Program. This instilled mentorship to my journey, which is the third and final piece of the puzzle in how education got me to realize my might of a mission. So in a nutshell, the Elite Owl Red Jacket Program is a leadership organization at Florida Atlantic University that invests in a cohort of 25 promising students a year to become trained leadership facilitators that give back to the university and give back to the community. We became coached in soft skills, and under the leadership teachings of Kuznis and Posner's The Student Leadership Challenge, and under the leadership teachings of Simon Sinek's Start With Why. The program invests in students to become change agents and also pairs every student in the program with an executive level mentor at the university. Everything in that program worked, from the small cohort size of 25, learning how to facilitate leadership and being mentored. And mentorship played a vital role in helping me get back up on my feet, and also was essential during my last month as an undergrad. I told you I had a 1.9 GPA at one point, and believe me when I tell you, my undergraduate transcript had every letter in the alphabet possible, probably letters that didn't even exist too. But that concerned me because I was so doubtful that I wouldn't get into the only master's program that I wanted to pursue at Johns Hopkins University. Despite my climb back up from the shadows, my past still haunted me. And when I was writing my personal statement for my master's program, I expressed my doubts and my vulnerabilities to the educators in my life. My mentors, Dr. Katie Burke and Dr. Chamley Week, guided me to stop carrying around that poison of doubt that was limiting my mobility of potential. And it was through that mentorship, that I came to this point of understanding that we can't face our future challenges if we are still fighting our old ones. When I casted away my shadows of doubt, a series of highs occurred for me. When the time arrived, I received my acceptance letter from Johns Hopkins University, one of the most joyous moments of my life. Weeks later, after 7 years total, I had finally done it. I was the first in my family to have earned a college education. Oh, thank you. As I was reflecting on how much I wanted to continue to grow as a student and grow as a leader, after graduation, something extraordinary happened. My story and my impact in Washington, D.C. and in Florida earned me the honor as the 2017 State of Florida Student of the Year. And lastly, the last high, this happened actually a few weeks ago, and I humbly say, out of 3,500 candidates, I was recently selected as one of 4 recipients to receive a national $20,000 scholarship for graduate school from Sallie Mae and Scholarship America. Thank you. But you saw my timeline. I went from the lows of the lows to the recent highs. I went from being a struggling, low-income immigrant to hitting rock bottom as a college dropout, to college graduate, to State of Florida Student of the Year, to national scholarship recipient. Now I'm working on my master's degree at Johns Hopkins University. And may I say, I will be graduating in a few months, and I will be looking for a job. So if anybody here is hiring, please let a boy know. Let a boy know. But under my circumstances, my story should not be possible. The countless boundaries I had to overcome was difficult. Statistically, I should not be here today, but I am, and I want to honor that, and I want to pay that forward by unlocking the missions of others who also need help mobilizing through their struggle. You too have overcome many obstacles to get to where you are now. And I hope my story can serve as a reminder of the challenges you overcame to get into the seats you're sitting in right now, and to serve as a reminder that what you do as educators matter now, then, and always. Your story, my story, are one of many, a part of a collection of stories. What made them possible for me was 3 triforces in education. Let's recap. 1, experiential project-based learning. If I didn't have research projects as an undergrad, I would have never realized my passion towards communication. Every major should have a designing your direction type course. One in the beginning where students start working on a project to start crafting their mission, start investigating potential passions in their field, and to clarify the question of why they are pursuing their major. And there should be one of these courses at the end where students reflect on their entire college experience and how they will translate their skills into their next steps. 2, experiential learning. If I didn't have that experiential learning experience in DC, I would have never realized my mission to serve as a voice whom empowers others to realize their potential to succeed. Every student should be encouraged to do an experiential learning experience, and every company should install a lifelong learning development program in their departments, not only for interns, but also for their staff. Once a student, always a student. And 3, mentorship. If I didn't have mentors in my life, I would have never graduated college. And I wouldn't be the person I am today, standing in front of you, doing what I'm doing now, doing what I love most. If they hadn't shown me that I could, if they hadn't believed in me, who knows where I would be today. Company executives should take the time to do mentoring sessions for their interns, and education executives should take the time to establish a mentoring project at their university. Having a mentor who deeply cares enough on a student's growth and development, that is what should be at the heart of the education blueprint. Mentor a student and challenge them to graduate not only with a major, but also with a mission. In education, it's never about who a student is walking in, but who they can be walking out. I'm here today due to the strength of those 3 triforces in education. Those, in essence, mobilize me to remaster myself and find my mission. Now, I'm gonna need your help one more time. I cannot hope to do this alone. To help close us off, can I get you know what's coming. Now do this. Now say file. Now say save as. You're gonna save this file to your brain. Now, before a song track can be remastered, a track of a song must be developed first. Same goes in education. Before education programs can effectively affect students, an emphasis must be put on student development towards developing a personal mission track in our students. Sometimes we don't always have to innovate up, but innovate down at our basic levels, at remastering ourselves. I always wanted to change the world somehow, but always doubted in my ability to do so. I know now that I cannot do it alone, but I can empower others to join in on the mission. We all come from different organizations, universities, regions of the country and the world, but we all share the same mission in essence, and that is what makes this the might of a mission. This mission isn't about believing in my ability to forge positive change, but in yours. Our strength doesn't just come from the power of one, but from the force of many. We do this together. My name is Tevin Ali, and my mission is to serve as a voice who empowers others to realize their power and potential to succeed. Thank you all so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tevin. That was a masterclass in public speaking right there, never mind all the other great messages. But striking to hear an individual story calling out those 3 things: project-based learning, experiential education, mentorship. And to me, that presents the challenge. The challenge is, how do we go from one individual who managed somehow or other to pull himself out and find those connections, find that support, and scale that up to the 20-odd million students in US higher education, never mind the millions more who don't participate, drop out, and so on.